It's here. The final trailer for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker aired tonight. And it's pretty surreal to say that we've now just seen the trailer for the ending of the entire Skywalker saga. With that said, let's not waste any time and dive into this trailer, as there's a ton of amazing new footage here to go over. We start things off with Rey dropping a helmet on the ground and running through some jungle planet. Considering she already has her lightsaber ignited, I'm going to assume this is part of her training exercise, especially if we're judging things off from the previous trailer too. I know there was a lot of debate on whether this jungle planet would be the forest moon of Endor, but based on the look of it, it's far too exotic to be that in my opinion. Anyways, Rey takes a leap and the trailer transitions to her jumping on what looks to be most likely the Death Star ruins. It's a nice little callback to her scavenging days in the Star Destroyer ruins back on Jakku, so you know she's more than ready to traverse all of that. The Resistance seems to have built up quite well over the last year based on this shot alone. We can see Lando, Poe, Finn, C-3PO, Chewbacca, a Mon Calamari officer, and what I'm guessing is the behind of Temmin Wexley here. This could very well be the Resistance's big meeting before the final battle. And the location I'm assuming is on the jungle planet we just saw before based on the plants in the background. Also, I'm very curious to find out if that lone Mon Calamari there is by any chance Akbar's son that was recently introduced in the Marvel comic book series. Rose is then seen with Lieutenant Connix and Dominic Monaghan's Resistance character just behind her. Connix looks like she's been injured and everyone behind him is rushing the opposite direction. Based on all the flying ships above them, the random blasts happening, and the orbacks, this is definitely the scene from the final battle on top of one of the Star Destroyers. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but it is what it is. We get a close-up of Poe's brand new orange painted X-Wing here. I'm thinking it's possible that Poe flies his X-Wing to Pasaana, while Finn and Chewie instead take the Falcon with Rey. If anything, it's more than likely they're all turning around here to greet Rey before they all leave for Pasaana. We get a great shot of a Corellian Corvette taking off from the jungle planet. This might just be when all the Resistance members take off to go fight in the final battle against the Sith fleet. As seen in the previous trailers, we once again see Rey with her lightsaber on top of the Death Star ruins as she awaits to duel Kylo. In the scene of this trailer, we hear a Rey voiceover saying, "People keep telling me they know me, but no one does." Next, we see Kylo emerge from the waves of water, where he continues the voiceover by saying, "But I do." This scene looks very cool, but I'm pretty sure that voiceover doesn't actually happen here, as Kylo instead looks very angry and ignites his own blade, readying himself to possibly fight Rey to the death. More than likely, that voiceover we hear happens much later after this scene where the two are ready to team up with each other after some kind of truce. Now, at first glance, this does seem like it could be the First Order's new HQ. Because of Starkiller Base and the Supremacy both destroyed, the First Order obviously needed a new base of operations, so they picked some giant iceberg in space to call home. On the flip side, it could also be an old abandoned Imperial base out in the unknown regions, and the First Order traveled there to find out more about the Sith fleet or Palpatine. While we don't have too much to go on, I'd like to say, I don't know, this is maybe Palpatine's new throne room. It's far more devious and more evil looking than his Death Star throne room, that's for sure. But I guess it might even have something to do or even symbolize with how he got resurrected back to life. But at the same time, I don't know, it seems a bit too primitive. If anything, it might just be one of the many thrones he uses in the movie. This is a very interesting shot, but it looks like one of the Sith Fleet Star Destroyers emerging out of the ground from somewhere. I mean, could it maybe be ice and this Star Destroyer was actually hidden in that iceberg base we saw just a moment ago? I don't know. One of the most obvious shots of the final space battle in the trailer. Here we see the Falcon and a ton of other ships, which we can assume have come to the aid of the Resistance to face off with the First Order. We can see Lando and Chewie in the cockpit of the Falcon, but it's impossible to say who's piloting the other ships. It's such a random assortment of ships, but we can see the ghost here, so it's quite possibly Hera that came to help. Then we can also see some new Mon Calamari cruisers, a Nebulon B, a Hammerhead corvette, a Bunker Buster corvette, a Brahatok class gunship, a Star Fortress bomber, a U-Wing, Han's freighter from The Force Awakens for some reason, a Vac Boer class frigate, a Neb C frigate, and a Pelta class frigate. Plus many other ships. It's gonna be a crazy space battle, that's what we can definitely tell from this. Another view of Rey and Kylo dueling on the Death Star ruins in the middle of some kind of storm. Again, they look like they're fighting to the death here, so I doubt there's gonna be any kind of teaming up talk happening at this point. While the scene is only in the trailer for like a second at best, I think it's one of the mega cannons on board the Sith Fleet Star Destroyers at work, firing off and destroying something. Could it be a planet? Sure, we know those cannons have Death Star tech in them, so it's entirely possible. And seeing as the background is empty, I don't think this is taking place in the final battle. I was always curious how the heck Rey makes her way to the Death Star ruins from the first teaser we got. Well, now we know, as she uses some kind of boat to get through those rough waves. Where did she get that boat? Who knows, might be Janna's, but she definitely wasn't going to swim her way to the Death Star. Our first live look of the new character Babu Frick at work on C-3PO on the snowy planet of Kijimi. Based on what very little we do hear from this guy in the trailer, I don't think he's gonna be speaking any English, or in Star Wars terms, basic. So I'm assuming 3PO will be his translator, and if that's the case, then boy, that would be weird. Because imagine being the translator for the guy that's currently doing brain surgery on you. Yeah, only in Star Wars I know. Everyone then starts looking concerned and sad, as if this is the last time they'll be seeing 3PO, or at least the 3PO that they know. Meanwhile, in the background, we can spot what looks to be a 2-1B medical droid, and is this important? Probably not, but I just wanted to point it out. 3PO then tells everyone he's looking at his friends for one last time, as Babu Frick seems to be doing a memory wipe. At least that's what it looks like. I can tell this is gonna be a pretty emotional scene, especially for a memory wipe. We definitely didn't have that kind of emotion or any in Revenge of the Sith, where 3PO got his memory wiped there too. So I'm curious to see what makes this scene so special. Also, we can see a B-1 battle droid in the background in this shot as well, which does make me wonder if the rumors of 3PO getting his memory installed of an old battle droid unit come true here or not. Poe, Chewie, and Finn start blasting down stormtroopers in what I can only assume is on board a First Order battle cruiser. I'd like to say this is during the final battle, but I doubt it, since I'd imagine Poe would be in his X-Wing fighter for something like that. So in that case, it's gonna be interesting to see on whether these three boarded the ship on their own free will or were captured and this is them just breaking out. Our first real good look at the mega cannons on the Sith Fleet Star Destroyers. The Y-Wing here seems to be going at it alone, but I'm curious to see how exactly durable these cannons are, especially against one Y-Wing. And then we get this scene, with Janna and Finn leading a bunch of Janna's people on Orbax on top of a First Order battle cruiser in space, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure what to really say. I'm kind of worried that this might just be the Rise of Skywalker's version of Canto Bight, and I can't say I like that. This is a picture-perfect scene of Kylo and Rey in the remains of Palpatine's old throne room on the second Death Star. After some dueling, I can see this being the moment where maybe that voiceover of Kylo telling Rey that he knows her kicks in. Maybe this is where they team up to go up against Palpatine. I mean, to do that in Palpatine's old throne room would be a great move by JJ. Finn looks in distress as he starts yelling at the screen with Janna behind here. I'd assume he's yelling at Rey as she's dueling Kylo, as it's clear Finn is on the Death Star ruins too. But how did he get there? I have no idea. Were there extra boats for him and Janna to take, or do Orbax swim too? I mean, if they can gallop on large vessels in space, then surely swimming in water is nothing for them. Both Rey and Kylo destroy the stand that looks to be holding Vader's helmet on it. I'd imagine this is aboard Kylo's own personal Star Destroyer, and after the two have teamed up. Then Kylo brings Rey to help him erase the past by destroying Vader's helmet. Which it seems like a weird move at first, I know. But if my theory is correct and Palpatine is connected to the helmet, then yeah, in that case this scene makes a lot of sense. As I'm sure Kylo would not be too happy to find out Palpatine was basically playing him the whole entire time. It's also worth noting that Rey is holding some kind of dagger here as well, so yeah. Another shot of Janna and Finn charging on the Orbaks on top of the First Order battlecruiser. Again, this is taking place during the final battle and what I can only assume is in space. I also find it hilarious how the turrets are ignoring them too, which makes their charge all the more easier, I suppose. Rey's final encounter with Palpatine. Unfortunately, this is the only shot in the trailer where we see anything of Palpatine. We can see some of his cloak, a little of his fancy throne, but that's about it. Based on the surrounding area, it's definitely not on the Death Star ruins, as a lot of people speculated it would be. Perhaps this is what the Beyond that we've heard so much about looks like. Kylo looks towards Rey, but this time he doesn't have the same anger and rage to destroy her as he did on the Death Star ruins. I'll go on a limb and say this is when Kylo and Rey team up against Palpatine, and it's in the same exact scene as before, which would be possible as both scenes have lightning happening in the background too. Rey then ignites her lightsaber, but with no visible emotion on her face. No happiness, no hate, just a blank stare. I guess that's maybe the best way to go up against Palpatine, I suppose. That way he can't use your hate as an advantage against you or try to turn your joy into chaos or something like that. But yeah, the trailer overall looked great. The music is outstanding, there's a lot of cool scenes, and it certainly does a good job of letting us know a huge epic space battle will be taking place in this movie, something that everyone can agree that the sequel trilogy was really missing. Although at the same time, I can't say this was the best Star Wars movie trailer I've ever seen. If anything, it's kind of underwhelming if I'm being honest. Yeah, the trailer was cool, but it felt like an assortment of random shots. It didn't have any big reveals or moments that truly hooked you in. Like for example the Dark Rey hook at the end of the previous one, or Palpatine laughing in the very first teaser we got. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe not. Either way, I'm excited for the movie, and I think that's all that matters. But what did you all think about the trailer? Let me know and let's get a conversation going. And as always, be sure to like and share this video, as well to keep it here to Silo for everything on the latest in Star Wars. And 7 from Silo, signing out.